Good afternoon. My name is Tembekile Felicia Makubele, and I'm the host for Are We Transforming, which is a platform where we afford different people from African countries an opportunity to share their views on different topics. And the idea is to identify gaps and find solutions, and also share best practices in different areas that we probably are operating in. So today we have got 6 guests, as I was indicating, and the topic for the day is to discuss issues relating to, you know, the notion of having people going to school just to acquire a qualification and then be an employee or to be employed, other than going the route of being employers, and want to check what is the relevance of STEM in this case. So we were able to source 6 guests, 2 from the African leaders in aviation. They are both pilots. And then we've got Ashley, who is also in the IT space. We've got Chilombo, who is an engineering student in Zambia, and also an advocate for STEM. We've got AE, because his name is a bit difficult to pronounce, I will just call him Harrison. We've got Harrison, who's also a studying architect, and he is also a pilot, a drone pilot. And we thought it would be good to have all these people in one space to be able to share their ideas for us to learn from it, and different people will be able to listen to the recording going forward. We decided not to go live on Facebook because it does affect the network every time we do, but today we would not go live. So I'll ask each of the guests to introduce themselves in a short bio, just to indicate who you are. And then after that, we'll go into the actual presentation regarding the topic. So I'll start with African leaders in aviation for them to introduce themselves. Ladies.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Tim, for the platform. My name is Khodani. I'm a private pilot, currently completing my commercial pilot license with multi-engine instrument, co-founder with Nyasha Manyika of African Leaders in Aviation. And this organization, the aim is to establish an organization that will serve and support the aviation industry and the careers in STEM by empowering women using honorable. Our vision as African Leaders in Aviation is to influence, raise, and strengthen African leaders in aviation and STEM. I will allow Nyasha to expand on that.
Thank you so much, Tembi, for having us. Thank you, Khodi, for the welcome. I'm Nyasha Manyika. I'm also co-founder for African Leaders in Aviation. I'm a commercial pilot. I also work as an aviation college registrar at a flight school here in South Africa. Passionate about aviation and STEM and empowering the next generation of aviators. And yeah, that's about me. Thank you, Tembi.
All right. Thank you so much. Ashley, please introduce yourself.
My name is Ashley from South Africa. I'm a software developer and the founder of Tech Artificial System Development. I'm currently studying cybersecurity. I think that's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. Chilombo.
Thank you so much, Are We Transforming, for this opportunity. Thank you, Tembi. My name is Chilombo Sakuhundu from Zambia. I'm an engineering student and also an advocate for STEM. I'm here trying to inspire the next generation of STEM leaders because I believe science is the future and everyone should be a part of it. So that's basically about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Harrison.
Hello, I'm Deji-AGboola. I'm an architecture student from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, here in Nigeria. I'm an architecture student, a drone pilot. I'm also into architecture photography. You know, we do architecture for sustainability, for changing the world and the likes. Thank you very much, Tembi.
All right. This is quite exciting, you know, bringing different countries in one space to be able to discuss things that are going to be assisting our future generation. I like the way you have introduced yourself. So right now we'll ask you to just briefly take us through your view with regard to the topic that we are discussing today. Actually, the hope is that out of this, we're going to be able to inspire quite a lot of young people and also change the views when it comes to issues relating to STEM. Many people will ask, what is STEM? And I'm hoping that in your presentation, you'll be able to give us an indication of what STEM.
I would love to talk about STEM and its relevance, you know, and I'm going to liken it to my field of study as an architecture student. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So me as an architecture student, how is STEM relevant to me as an architecture student? You know, most people, especially here in Africa and in Nigeria, would think, okay, when I study architecture, architecture is all about me designing buildings, me making structures and drawing and the likes. But I tell you, architecture is way beyond that. Architecture has to do with what you have in mind and bringing it into reality. Architects are creators. Like we call ourselves creators next to God because you know God is the creator of everything. So after God, we know okay, we say architects are the next. So me as an architecture student, when we talk about STEM, STEM is a bridge between the normal school learning and the real world. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So STEM and its relevance now. So me as an architecture student, STEM has been good to me in a way that, okay, when we do STEM in school, you know that when I'm done in school like this, there are works I can do and there are professions outside I can do. And like I said, architecture is way beyond drawing and designing. You know, you might be finding it funny when I wrote architecture photographer in my profile. Most people do not really know about that, but I'm going to explain what that is to be an architecture photographer. During my fourth year in school, because architecture here in Futa, Nigeria is 5 years, like a course of 5 years. So when we study for 3 years, in the fourth year, you go for your internship. And during that internship, you are exposed to what the industry is like outside there, okay? So, you know, apart from the normal theory works in school, we are in school, we draw, we design a lot. But that fourth year, it is a must for every student to go into a company or an industry, might be a construction company, any industry, to make use of what he or she have learned in the school. So during my process of my internship, my boss was like, okay, Tayo, I want you to start taking documentations of what we do here on site. You get my point, you know, construction is a step-by-step thing. It's not a one-day thing. So with that, I was like, okay, if I come in as an architecture photographer, it's a very good thing. Not that school did not expose me to that. What exposed me to that was the break they gave me outside school, was the time of internship outside school. Because architecture is a tasking course, you have to do a lot while you're in school, you have to draw and do a lot of things. But when I was outside there, I was able to discover this. So I was taking pictures, I was documenting all it has to do about building. And that was when the drone photography came in as a drone pilot, fly drones, go for area shots and all the likes. So with this, I found a career in it. The outside, there's more in the outside world than in school, because education is very important. Education gives you this exposure. I always say that education gives you exposure. You can't say you are uneducated and you know some things. No, that's not possible. When you are educated, you'll be able to attain some certain things. Okay. So with that, I was able to think, okay, we need this in the construction industry. I was able to, okay, let me be an architectural photographer. Although there are few architectural photographers out there, but it's just like a new passion I like found, you understand? It's just like real estate business. When people are just coming to the real estate business, and we have some people that started it. You get my point? So that is how this is coming now. So architectural photography is something that I've been able to discover outside school. Note that if I did not go to school, I won't be able to discover that. Am I right?
Yeah.
If I did not go to school, I won't be able to know what architecture photographer is, because it was the opportunity they gave me in school during my internship I used to discover what architecture photographer is. So STEM and its relevance now, me talking, I had to use myself as an example before I go into what STEM and its relevance it's all about. Like I said when I started, I said STEM is like a bridge between the normal theoretical aspect in school and what is happening in the real industry. I feel in Africa, we should let people know what education is like. Most people just go to school and they don't know what they want to do. Okay, it started all in, I don't know how it is in other countries, but here in Nigeria, maybe in high school days, you see your friends going to science class. Okay, because my friend is going to science class, let me just go to science class. So we could be friends and our friendship could continue. But I feel people should be educated way beyond that, because what the industry have to offer is way beyond what you are seeing. You get my point? Sometimes you have to be industry before you know that, oh wow, this is how these things are going, this is how this thing is being done. If you are just in school, you won't know that, okay, this is how it is. But my advice, like I would say, for maybe universities or high school, is for them to separate this thing, like, okay, education and the real world. Because most times we go to school to learn, then why are we just learning theoretical things and we don't learn what we are to learn? Most people will be like, okay, I'm a mathematician, I'm studying mathematics. How do you want to apply the mathematics in the real world? You get my point? So I feel if in a school of 5 years like my school, because it's a Federal University of Technology, so the certificate is always different, is a school of technology. So when, for example, the course is for 5 years, my feeling is that every student in the first and second year should do more of theoretical aspect. They should go into the theory and know what things are all about. Okay. So when they now get to the third, fourth, and fifth year, they should do more of practical things. You get my point? They should do more of practical things, because the industry has more to offer than what you learn in school. Some people will just be like, okay, when I'm in school, when I'm done with this, I'll go out into the industry and everything will be fine. No, it's not always as smooth as we think. It's not always as smooth as we think, because there are a lot of people in the industry. Okay, let me tell you this. In the architectural industry, people will continue to design and continue to build till Jesus comes. So there are a lot of people looking for jobs. And how do you want to cope with that when there are still a lot of people looking for jobs, especially here in Africa? So when you are in school, like I said, when I advise, when you're in school, your first and second year, like my advice, the first and second year should be used for theoretical things. But your third, fourth, and fifth year Do more of practicals. Let people know what it is all about. Let people know because you are studying, let them know that, okay, this is how you do it. This is how you do it in the mechanical industry. Transfer them to industries. Let them know how it is. With that, people will know what they are to expect in the real world. So when in your third, fourth, and fifth year, you already know that, okay, I'm doing this. You might even have to go to site. It's compulsory because it's practical. You have to be on site and know how things are done. With that, to give you exposure of what you want to do. Some people do not know what they want to do until they are out of university, if I'm correct. You just be like, okay, let me just finish this course I'm studying. When I'm done with this course I'm studying, I'll know what to do. But no, that is very wrong. Life is short. People have to make choices at the right time, very quick. And if you, I don't know, you heard of Elon Musk creating a school for his kids and so on. No, these kids are learning how things should be done. You get what I'm saying? Okay, most people tell them, come and solve this problem. They can only say it with their mouth, but they can't put it into practical. No, this should stop. Let people push for it. Let them know how things are done. Let them try it. When you try things and you see that they don't work, you will think of other ways of doing things. That is why Africa is not productive to date, because we only know theoretical things. There are a lot of productive Africans outside there. You see them like, okay, here in Nigeria, a lot of people are traveling out to Europe, to other countries. And when they go out there, they are very good, they are very bright, and they are productive. Why? Because they are doing more of practical. But here in this place, the government, the theoretical aspect round up. Okay, let me just round up. So with this, I would say that students should be more exposed, even while in school, with practical things. So they will know what STEM is all about. They will be able to liken it together, and they will know what the real world is about. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so very much, Harrison. We will post questions as soon as the other.
Right, so we're going to be looking at the STEAM project. What is STEAM? When we look at STEAM, we're looking at science, technology, engineering, aviation, mathematics. Our presentation is going to be slightly biased towards aviation because that's our field. Okay. Right. Question is, have we moved from getting educated to being employed towards being employers? STEM and its relevance. Are we graduating, just going for the job and becoming the CEO, or we are the entrepreneurs? Yes, 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 yes. We are moving towards that. As you can see, in 2019, Ghana was projected to have the most rapidly expanding economy globally, followed by South Sudan, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and Côte d'Ivoire. Outside Africa, the fastest growing economy was forecast to be Bangladesh. Rwanda and Kenya have one of the highest literacy rates in the continent right now. Their infrastructure is very good, and they're known as Africa's leading innovation hubs. And this is all thanks to STEM at the moment. If you look at the population distribution around Africa, about 60% of the population is actually below 25 years of age. What does this mean for us? It means that in the next projections up to 2040, Africa's middle class is actually going to boom. And with the middle class, what does that mean for us? It means there may actually be more extra income. People are able to engage in things such as travel. So we are in the position where we actually need to move with this transformation and prepare for this boom. How? By using the STEM faculty as well. STEM jobs globally are projected to grow by about 8.8% by 2029. What do we need from this? We want at least our education systems here to incorporate STEM, to have shows such as this platform, which are encouraging people to take up STEM roles as well. We need to be educated enough to know what the STEM is, because for right now, the times we're in, like here, we are not able to actually define what STEM is, because the schools, the universities, they're not really advocating for it. Whereas other industrialized countries, which are already heading towards the fourth industrial revolution, they're equipping themselves for this projected growth. But us here, a few are getting there, but majority are not yet. With our population, which is the ones who are below 25 years, it would be in our best interest if all these people could actually harness STEM. There's so many careers that are in STEM, and it's not just about being a pilot. They can actually start their own companies, their own agencies, harnessing them in STEM. They can become aviation medical practitioners, they can be mechanic, they can be consultants. There's so many different roles that exist in aviation and STEM, which are towards entrepreneurship. But the thing is, information is not adequately available, or there aren't many organizations that are talking about these things. But there are so many, like when I talk about aviation as a whole, it's actually a whole ecosystem that this population, which is age 25 and below, can actually tap into. They don't necessarily have to only be pilots. They can even be accountants. They can get into the drone industry itself. They can be consultants. They can get into drone manufacturing. They can get into artificial intelligence. There's a lot in STEM, but I don't think there's been adequate information in sub-Saharan Africa for us to all harness and make use of STEM. So all these, I think we just need to keep on reiterating, educating others when we can, visit schools, and just start instilling what this is for, what this is about, and prepare the next generation. Okay, thank you. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you so much, and straight to the point. I really appreciate. Ashley, are you ready now?
Yes, I think I'm ready, but I won't be able to like share my presentation. If it's okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, since the topic is saying, have we moved from getting educated to be employed towards being employers? STEM and its relevance. So in my field here on STEM, I'm going to be going with technology. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so here in South Africa, technology is very, very divergent. It's not about how is it helping us, it's about how is it helping me by that time. For example, like in terms of technology, we have like social media influencers. Those people are in fourth industrial revolution, but they're doing something that is not helping everyone but themselves, which is very dangerous. That's why I'm saying technology is helping here in South Africa, but people, they're not going for those hardcore things that is going to help everyone in terms of like employing your fellow peers and like, for example, making work, you understand? So in my experience, I've worked, after I graduated, I'm a software developer. After I graduated, I worked for a company called WebTrends. They are a company that were promoting young artists to become whoever they want to be. So my part on that company was that I was a developer of the software that the artists were uploading their music, and then we can be able to stream and download those things. That's why I saw, okay, I'm working, but is this what I wanted to do when I went to school to graduate? Is this what I wanted? That's why I decided, okay, no, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to like go on the other side, which is like focus on my software development and start my software development company. So in the beginning, yes, it was very hard. I didn't have like, I was not like getting enough money to like employ anyone, but to make my work environment very exciting and make it willing for like me and people who I'm gonna call to come help me to like will to work, I had to like do something. You understand? I started very small. I had a small office where there was like internet and everything, easy access for information, stuff like that, so that people who were coming there, it was something like a small Silicon Valley. I just wanted like a lot of people to be there so that we can share ideas and see what we can do going forward. So the tricky part was that a lot of people, they were not into technology. They were more into marketing. Others were like, let me just say most of them, they were in marketing. So I had to like do something. I had to like, from what I'm doing, which is software development, I have to like create job for them so that I can also know, okay, we are moving by having those type of people around me. So I started developing websites, e-commerce websites for clients. And then I was also selling to clients that I can manage a social media for like 150 per month. For example, like you have an e-commerce website, you're selling clothes. We're gonna like market your clothes on the social media that we've made for 150 from our company side. That work I gave to the marketers to like, okay, you guys focus on like making maybe make 5 posts a week so that you can be able to upload so that these people can be able to pay you. It was an idea that I thought of, like, if I can do this, it will be helping a lot of people, that mostly those are around me. And also in technology, you have to be very careful with career choice. There's a lot of fields in technology, in technology. So we have to like be very careful with the career choice. For example, I don't believe someone can go to like varsity or a college for like 5 years and study software development to go and work for someone, to go and develop for someone. That's where I was questioning myself in the beginning. Also, I fell into that trap, but I questioned myself: or am I gonna work for someone after I went to 5 years? What did I want when I went to that 5 years of software development? That's why I decided, okay, let me go and then start my own company. But if someone goes to a wrong field, that's where you're gonna be trapped working for someone, working for some company, boring company that you didn't want to work for, or you thought like, if I graduate, it's gonna be like this, and you find maybe it's not gonna be like that. Since mostly, even in technology, even in tech, everything is updating every day. The information that you get yesterday, tomorrow you might find is invalid. In terms of information, again, information we get, I heard the other guy was telling us about the lack of information in Africa. Information in Africa we have, for example, now these days, internet is starting to get cheaper, which gives us more access to like information. It's just we are being careless, you understand, of what we want. Not really being careless, but we don't really know what we want before like going to colleges after high school or going to varsity. We just want to like be in there. We just want to be in that varsity, even though it's about having a gap year and thinking, who am I? What do I want? How am I gonna get that thing?
Thank you very much. Chilombo?
So have we moved from getting educated to be employed towards being educated to be employers? I think my answer to this question would be yes, we are moving in that direction. However, there are so many faults in the education system. The education system does not teach us how to be entrepreneurs. Of course, not everyone can be an entrepreneur, but I believe the education system should be improved to make room, to make more room for teaching students how to be entrepreneurs. So I'm going to talk more about STEM and its relevance, seeing that an advocate for STEM. I'll start with a quote from Mark Tegmark. We have to win this race between the growing power of technology and the growing wisdom with which we can manage it. That being said, we're on our way towards the 4th industrial revolution, where we're going to see increasing more advanced technology taking over. So in as much as people fear their jobs being lost due to technology, I don't believe that, because artificial intelligence can't perform certain tasks that only human wisdom can perform. We need someone to control certain parts of advanced, advanced machines. Yes, so I'm going to talk about STEM. In my work, I've visited so many rural areas and not everyone knows what STEM is. So I won't assume everyone, our viewers, everyone knows what STEM is. So STEM is an abbreviation for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And more recently, I was happy to hear STEAM, which incorporated aviation. Others are adding the A to represent the arts. So yeah, we're moving from STEM towards STEAM. The A can mean anything. So STEM is a part of almost any career in today's world. Any career that any person decides to take up, right, involves STEM, be it a lawyer. STEM doesn't necessarily mean high-end advanced technology. It's basic science knowledge, basic computer use, how to use Microsoft Word on your computer. That's part of science, mathematics, engineering. So a lawyer will need basic knowledge in STEM. So I believe for us to reach a level where everyone has knowledge in STEM, we need to start teaching the young ones very early on. We need to start them young, teach them basic programming skills, basic robotics, and I believe in so doing, we're inspiring the next generation of STEM leaders, because STEM is very much relevant, in today's world. So what I would advise educators to do is to start them young, show young people something interesting, participate in training, and state the facts. So there's a bias of saying engineering is for men, engineering is for boys, but I think we're seeing aviation is for men. I think we're seeing a good number of women taking up such roles. So we need to tell them, no, you can do it. Anyone can do it. If a man can do it, so can we. If anything, we're actually on the more disadvantaged end. We have to work at home, we have to do chores, but the man has the easier route. So I think we need to state the facts and tell them science can be done by a woman. It's not very difficult. Yes, so thank you. I think I'll end there.
Wow, thank you very much. Khodani, are you able to take us through a little bit? If Nyasha didn't cover some things which you think you would want to speak to.
I think Nyasha covered everything that I would have liked to share on the presentation. And just to add on to what she said, you know, platforms like this really are what is going to bring the change to question of employers. Are we not being left behind? My one statement I want to say, part of solving the problem that Africa has with the high unemployment rate and the slow development is organizations like Remark. It's the talks you're having with organizations like us, Tembi. It's each one of you guys who are in this platform, because we cannot rely on the government. I think as Africans, we've seen woken up to that truth a long time ago. There's a lot of instability. We have to be the people who assist the government. Not everything is gonna come from government, and go for bringing up the young generation and teaching them what STEAM is, and opening up a world that they never imagined. So that's what I wanted to add, that talks like this, organizations like we all have in the work we're doing, is what will make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You know, every time when I listen to people in the science space or technology space, now in the aviation space, I always ask myself a question based on what you have said, that if indeed, you know, we are now moving away from being employees to become employers, why is it that we see a lot of young people unemployed. I'll speak of the statistics in South Africa. I think it's quite, yeah, it's quite worrying to see the number of employees. I think last year it was around 75% of the population was actually young people unemployed, if I'm not mistaken. And the question is, what is it that STEM, in its ways of trying to change things around, and the 4IR now being the buzzword, which I would ask you as people in the space who are in the very same space to sort of unpack what 4IR is actually is, and how it is going to impact on the unemployment that we're already seeing currently. Before we even go to the education side, let's talk about this aspect, because I believe that is what will encourage many to take the subjects or the courses at varsity that relates to STEM or STEAM, as you guys have indicated. I won't have to necessarily point at anyone, but I can start with African leaders. One of the ladies can respond to the question just to have some sort of logic, but you can raise your hand also if you are part of the audience to participate in the discussion. We welcome you and thank you so much for making time. African leaders.
Thank you, Tembi. One point I can bring up, and what scared me, is that we call them the millennials, the 2000s. They are focused on being influencers. I sound a little biased, maybe saying the superficial route, because they are the generation, the microwave, what we call the microwave generation. The STEM fields, there's a lot of hard work, a lot of persistence. I don't think there's anyone here who didn't have a good push into their industry, had to sweat, had to cry, had to work hard and almost gave up. But we now, the generation that follows us is a generation that's not used to working hard. They're influenced with already developed countries. They aspire after your connections, the bling and all of that, but they don't see the reality of where we are at in Africa. They don't have the information. They are quite very ignorant. So the solution for that is really being the influence. Approach them at their level, hear what they understand about the spirit of Africa, and try to grow with them from there. The influence that we can have in the generation. And also, I'm not too clued up about the other countries, but with South Africa particularly, we also have a big gap with the race gap. There are jobs and there are opportunities, but we're still trying to fight getting into breaking through the glass ceiling of what was for a very long time was known as the white man's industry. For example, aviation. Nyasha and I, we both studied in South Africa, and we finished, our courses were supposed to take a couple of months, turned into years, because we were fighting, being told that we can't fly. Already we're girls, and on top of that, now we have to fight being Black girls. So that's also a major factor with what contributes to unemployment, particularly maybe here in South Africa, the influence and the race gap. Thank you.
Thank you so much for raising that. To the other guests coming from other countries, what is the experience with regard to unemployment and people who have studied these specific fields? What is the experience with regard to, finding yourself in a space where you have to prove the fact that you are able to? I will take Kima, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry for pronouncing it wrongly. You can go ahead.
Oh no, you pronounced my name quite okay. Thank you. I'm from Zambia, and it's nice to see the diversity from different countries, and you're representing your points of views. Most of the time, I think in my experience, I'm a mechatronics engineering student, and honestly, it all started with how we were introduced to bringing up girls or bringing up this influence of, do you know this field belongs to you? And so I feel like when it comes to employment, as you mentioned, sometimes, should I only relate this to STEM or general employment? I'm not sure, but the unemployment really is quite high because most of our graduates, I can still count from years ago, are still at a place where they're still wondering what the point of the degree was. So sometimes I feel like it's a wake-up call to most of the people who are younger and who are coming up to see why and to ask the right questions as to why are we not getting the employment we always dreamed of, especially when we're younger or entry-level students at universities. I'm still questioning that, and that's something I'm also trying to dig into. But then overall, my experience has been we have thousands of graduates, especially in fields that are also vocational, which used to not be the case a few years ago. But even for technical fields, we are still finding that there's this large unemployment rate, and the questions are not being, it's not being pointed out too evidently by some government instruments. So I'm wondering how we can bridge that gap between becoming an entrepreneur, but then the problem is entrepreneurship is also costly. It comes with the financial management challenges. It comes with a lot of other things in the background. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I like the fact that it looks like we have a common problem as African countries, and something that this kind of discussion will actually assist in identifying solutions. So now, as we are talking, we are saying we need to introduce these things while these people are still young. Please don't lower your hands. I did pick them up. I'm still on the same. Chilombo, and I think somebody else. Yes, you can go ahead. I just wanted to latch on so that I shouldn't forget what she was saying. But yes, thank you so very much for the input. The unemployment, I think, will be one of the challenges that will say to people, what is the use for me to go and do all these degrees, STEM included? Something that we need to really engage more on. Chilombo, you raised.
I think I just need to add on to say, yes, the unemployment issue is probably an African issue. In most other countries, Zambia is not an exception to this. We see our unemployment cases are very high, especially when it comes to science courses. I think it has to also do with the system. The system is programmed in such a way that they want employees rather than employers. So it has to come from you as an individual. You decide, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. That's where innovation comes in. So we have so many brilliant ideas that we can come up with. We can start selling the goods that we make from our engineering knowledge, from our STEM knowledge. But again, a disadvantage, or I would say the bad part of our system, is that we have so many graduates, and in my country, in your final year, you have to present a project, but those projects, we don't see so much funding. That project is just locked away after being presented. So I think that needs to be worked on. Our government, we need people to rise up and talk to their governments and say, what if we allocate funds to say, because in Africa, I believe we have so many creative minds, but these creative minds are being sent out to other countries and they go out of Africa and develop those other countries because the other countries are resourceful. So with the fourth industrial revolution, yes, we do risk more unemployment because people need to keep up. And if youth are to remain relevant in the industrial revolution, they're supposed to gain more skills, get more educated, probably upgrade their knowledge, because I think unemployment is an issue that is going to be there for a really long time. In as much as we're moving from being employees to being employers, the system is not allowing us to be employers. It has to come from your own resources and you become an employer. And that's where entrepreneurship comes in. Thank you.
The system is not allowing us to be employers. What is your view, Ashley? You raised your hand, and also Harrison, in that order.
On my side, I don't think it's an African problem of like having a problem with labor marketing. It's a problem of every Black person. That's what I'm thinking. Because even in America, a lot of white people are working and everything, and Black American people are complaining about employment. So it's about like you telling yourself, okay, I'm not going to like ask anyone anything. If it's about me selling tomatoes to like get a startup to like start business and become an employer at the end, do that. Don't look at the government, because the government, there are millions and millions of proposals and like presentations that they're like helping other people with in terms of like putting them in a good way, but putting them straight on what's really happening. They're giving those projects and everything to the presentations. They're taking the presentations of their family members and people who are close to them. You understand? So I'm saying labor marketing is still going to give us a problem as like Black people, not like African people, Black people, because we still believe that white people are still superior. You have to like, white people must tell you how to do something. You understand? Even though you can like go out there and then look for like something that can make you like start. You understand? So I don't know. Okay. If we don't change the mentality of saying, okay, I can do it on my own without anyone helping me. But yes, we need help, but there are some small things that you can like do something to get them done, like looking for funding from government or something like that.
Okay, how is Nigeria looking like?
So I'll continue from where my fellow speakers stopped. They gave good points, and basically someone talked about unemployment and someone talked about government. And what I'm going to say is that we can't always put the blame on government, okay? Because these guys actually have a lot of things they have in plan. They have some things they want to do. You see them, they do their yearly budgets and some things, and they still do not bring all these things into fulfillment. And like Ashley said, this bounce back to us, like your mindset, every individual. You see, most people, they decide to go around begging when I believe they can do something with their hands. Everybody is born creative. Not everybody will be entrepreneurs, but I believe we are all good at different things, okay? So let us just stand up and develop ourselves. And like Ashley said, we might need help from different people. Not everybody, and the government will not assist everybody. But if it's possible for you to be able to speak out to one or two people, because when you don't speak up, you will die in silence. So it's better you speak to people and let them know what you want to do. From there, you can get help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Towers, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, that is very correct. Hello, Tembegile, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so
much. You're welcome. I would like to thank you for this noble work that you are doing, and also I'd like to give a thumbs up to the highly esteemed panel which you are having today, especially when you are discussing, matters that really affect us as Africans. And the most important thing that is that these things, they affect the successive generations, those who are to come after us. So it's very good that we put the record straight. My take on the issue of employment that you have brought up is that, there is a limitation that we usually put ourselves onto. This starts with the definition of employment. We want to confine employment as, being formally employed. That's the only thing that we regard as employment. You can be employed and not being formally employed. I think there are some countries where you have got many people are participating in the informal sector, and they are not considered to be employed. So when we start to take statistics, we might say that the level of unemployment is very high in this country, yet the people are participating in the uninformal sector, yet they are employed. It's only like my predecessors have said, it's a matter of mindset. We as Africans, we as the youth, we have to redefine what is employment. As long as someone is doing something which is bringing in income to them, they are employed. They automatically they come out of the bracket of unemployment. How do we then come out of this bracket? You know, we have to work out on our innovation. And how do we come to be innovative? We need to first to identify what are our problems. And once we have identified our problems, that's when STEM or STEM comes into play. STEM, just like I think African leaders in aviation were highlighting, it is a way of solving problems. So problems are solved by science. So problems are solved by technology. Problems are solved by mathematics. And even aviation can solve transport problems and employment problems also. So we as Africans, we have to shift our perception, how we view ourselves. We are the solution to our own problems. So we have to really sit down, ponder upon ourselves and come up with solutions. Then the other problem that we have is that when we have got people who are already in STEM at the moment, but they are not like fulfilling the what we expect them to be delivering. Why? Because we have got a limitation of the curriculum that we are getting from school. If someone goes to school and maybe they do mining, they only want to solve mining problems, but they don't know that if they integrate that knowledge which they got from school and you know, looking at other these days they are using the word ecosystem. You can, like, it's more like a network. You have to interlock everything. You can from your base of scientific knowledge, you can solve a multitude of problems. And the other thing also is that, you know, we have produced a lot of professionals, scientists, some with people with masters, but you know, even judging from what has been happening in the recent past, we have got a lot of scientists in Africa, but they are not questioning certain technologies. They are not going down, you know, to do investigative, you know, an investigative kind of approach, so that they can come out with an African solution for the problems that we are facing. I think I have to stop there at the moment.
Thank you so much. Nyasha, your hand was up as we wrap up this question. Is there anybody else who wants to, but Nyasha, you can proceed.
Okay, they've covered most, but they've spoken. But yeah, I like that. Unemployment, our mindset, never limit yourself. Look for a problem, be the solution. Don't wait for government. If you wait for government, you're going to wait your whole life. Be your own, if you can, be your own boss. Look at where you are. What are you doing? What service are you providing, you know? Are you a teacher? If let's say, for example, you're a teacher, can you not start your own private tutorial consultation? Can you not incorporate French classes and start offering French on the side? You know, we are our own solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One other question that I'm asking myself is, if we are to, you said so many things. You said that we need to create an ecosystem which will allow, you know, different fields within STEM or STEM to talk to each other. But I'm sitting here and asking myself, if that is the case, are you saying then there is currently not sufficient communication amongst yourself as people who are in that, you know, field, STEM? Secondly, Eisto or Harrison spoke about the fact that education alone without experience, if I capture you correctly, or things that you got exposed to when you were doing your internship was never covered during the time you were at school or at varsity. Is it the reason for us now not to be able to be as innovative as we would want to be? Those are the two issues that I would like you to speak to. You actually didn't even talk to the 4IR, because one of the reasons why I spoke about the unemployment was many people are now afraid. Somebody, I think it's Chilombo, said, no, 4IR is not going to take jobs away. But if it's not going to take jobs away, how do we then make sure that we are a bit, prepared more than we currently are in order to be able to compete with those, the 4IR things that will be coming to the fore? Chilombo? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'll start with your second question about the fourth industrial revolution. So with this, it's going to take away jobs, yes, and at the same time, it's not going to take away the jobs. So why do I say this? So with the coming of new technology, we're still going to need learned people to operate the machinery. We're still going to need people to operate the AI. At the same time, we need highly learned people to operate this machinery. So it's going to take away jobs in the sense that if people don't upgrade their qualifications to the growing economic demands, or with the growing revolution that's at hand, it is going to take away the jobs. And then your first question, if you can simply repeat it, I'll go back to the fourth industrial revolution. It's related to your first question. It was about why aren't youth as innovative as we want them to be? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it also goes back to the classroom learning, say primary school. It's sad to note that I also work with the Zambia National STEM Foundation that also advocates for STEM education amongst young girls and the young people. So we received some STEM kits from Botswana, New Era College from Botswana. So it was a funny and at the same time sad scenario, because the STEM kits had material that is meant for an 8-year-old in a developed country, but that material is a material that I, as a university student, use in my labs. So I think there's that gap of, we need to start young, we need to catch up with the advanced world, we need equipment, we need such kits, we need to start being trained at a very young age, because it's sad, an 8-year-old in America would probably be able to program the STEM kits that were sent to us, whilst a 3rd-year, 4th-year engineering student could not. So I think there's that gap that we need to bridge. Yes.
Okay, anybody else? I saw a hand that went down. Okay, Nyasha, and then Harrison.
Okay, I just wanted to resonate with what Chilombo was saying, that the digital divide between the developed world and the developing world is just, the gap is just so wide. And I just feel like we need to actually have more educational projects going on, programs going on to schools, to them young, even from like when they're 5 in primary, when they're still in getting ready for maybe starting school, to start just engaging in those small STEM, playing with those small STEM kits and all. Because right now, as much as the 4th industrial revolution is coming, it's going to take a while for us here to actually, harness and enjoy it, because the digital the division right now is very wide. So I think we actually now need to start tapping into it, slowly closing that gap, because if it just starts right now and we're not prepared, we're not going to be able to make use of it. We can make use of it. All these unemployment rates that we are talking about that are really there for those who need to be employed. If we're able to be equipped and prepare for this fourth industrial revolution, we can actually get employment coming out of it. As much as with the automation, some jobs will not be there, but some jobs will be there. But the other thing is the knowledge levels are very low. This information is not really there. We've got cell phones, but some people are not yet data itself. Some people cannot yet afford. So we've got some of those things that are also causing that gap to widen. So yeah, those are some of the things that just came to my mind as she was talking. Thank you.
That is so true, and it's actually very worrying. Ashley, I recognize you. Let me just finish this part. It is actually very worrying just to hear that things that are being taught to primary school kids are some of the things which are being taught also at varsity to the kids at the very young age will be a solution. And we can proceed to the next one if there's no one who would like to raise another question.
Yeah, I think in terms of the innovation, it has to start from lower age mentally. You understand? Like the other speaker was saying, they have to equip us from young age. But also, even if they equip us with those tools in a very young age, is interest there? Are we interested in doing that? You find maybe the government is providing us with like STEM tools and everything, but like you find maybe per province is only like maybe 1,000 learners who are interested in like learning those STEM tools and stuff. Also, it's about the trust in terms of innovating. People are going extra mile out there to like, okay, I won't look at the government, but my idea is gonna need me to like associate with them. You understand? Since I don't have money to do this on my own, if I can talk to them, is it like safe for me to like present to them something that I know, okay, I know they can do it, but they don't think about it at that moment. You understand? Is it safe for me to like take this idea and try to propose them in terms of like helping me in doing this? And the other thing that is killing us in terms of innovation is internally our system our system here in the government of South Africa. Let me be specific about South Africa. There's not too much information. We don't know, us as youth, and then us who are like trying to be entrepreneurs, or how are we gonna get like funds? We don't know that information. I can like say that millions of times, that half of the young population of entrepreneurs who are trying to be entrepreneurs in South Africa, they don't know the system or the ways of like getting that assistance in terms of like government will help me with this and that. Understand? Also about the employment, the AI thing. I heard you were talking about the AI taking jobs and like bringing in jobs. Yes. In terms of like winning in the future, in the terms of like fourth industrial revolution, you have to like sit down also and think, okay, where are we going? I'm thinking we are going into the future of technology, engineering, and agriculture. You understand? So there are people even in the future, they will still want to go for teaching and other stuff, while they know, okay, we are in this type of ecosystem. The world is changing to like from this to that, but they still want to be going to university for teaching and stuff. Yes, it's good. It's something that they really want to do, but at that time there will be like an AI that just pops up on your like face, teaching you whatever you want to know. So it's about us also knowing where we are going and then equipping ourselves with like that information and that tools and that wisdom and knowledge of like we are going through this fourth industrial revolution. So what can I do to go and fit into those things? There's a lot of things, like it's technology, it's engineering, and it's agriculture.
You are raising quite a number of issues. I think also African leaders, I'm also noticing you are the first one. On the innovation side, us being afraid of our ideas being taken by whoever that we're going to present the information to in need of funding. I think that is one of the things that actually makes many people not to crack it when it comes to them becoming employers. So that will be one of the issues that we might want to discuss about after this question, and also the issue of how can we then go to the younger generation, the ones that are still in primary school, to be able to help them understand what STEM is all about and what and how and what it's going to be used to assist them. I'll also want us to touch next time after this two hands on the issue of, I think Tawaz spoke to, what is that thing? The limitation and lack of integration and also shift of perception. That for me stood out, which is something I would want us to talk about. I'll start with African leaders and then Chilombo.
Thank you, Tembi. One of the biggest passions that we have in African leaders in Navy is that we've removed all the borders within the continent of Africa. It's Zimbabwean and a South African who came together, and we're working on a solution that will address the entire continent's problems with regards to aviation and STEM. So I'm going to throw back the ball and ask, do you think we can all agree that unemployment, the 4-hour rate of jobs being lost, etc., is an African problem? It's not just South Africa, Kenya, Zambia. But then now, can we also agree that we cannot work as silos to address this problem? Because together we can actually go further than alone. So organizations like such that are present here, can we not work together? I'm just going to also touch on what Ashley said, that he really, really needs the government. Sometimes we feel like we need that. I'm not going to demystify what it, but the people are the masses are who give the government power. As my English. So if we come together as Africans and we say we're going to now be very intentional and very vicious on attacking unemployment, no government will stop us. How will South Africa address the whole of Africa coming together? How will Kenya stop the whole of Africa holding hands together? And I can give testament to our experience in African leaders in aviation. Most of our funding comes from our organizations, that because we can't get funding from government because we want to do something maybe in Malawi, South Africa won't find that, or we want to go to Zimbabwe, South Africa won't find that, or Zimbabwe won't find what we do in South Africa. So we've reached out organization that, and unfortunately such organizations are in this state. So we're still dependent on those massive international organizations that will feed into Africa. And for them, it's that badge like to feed in the African child. Yes, helping Africa. When are we going to hold hands together and solve African problems and stop working as silos?
That is so true. Harrison, you had your hand up.
Yeah, you mentioned something about internship when I talked about university students and internship the other time. So I wanted to address that question you made. So the thing I noticed, like I said, as an architecture student, is that it would be better. It's just like I'm proposing a solution. You get my point. I feel like it's better for us to be in school for the first 2 years studying theoretical works. Then the remaining 3 years, if it's a 5-year university, of course, but if it's lower than that, it's something they can actually change. So the remaining 3 years, you can use it to do practical things for you to know how things are done in the industry. Like I said, when I went for internship, that was when I was able to know how things were done in the industry. And my internship was just for about 6 months. And I've been in school for like 4 years. I was able to learn what I learned in school for 4 years within 6 months. Can you imagine that? Just because of the exposure and the theories and the practicals we did. You get my point? So I believe you should be exposed to more practicals There are a lot of brilliant and amazing people in Africa. I'm telling you the true facts. That's why you see when Africans go to European countries, they do even better than guys over there. It's because we are brilliant, but we just need that exposure. And we need that, like somebody mentioned about money. We need monetary funds and some other assistance. With that, I believe everything will be better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Exposure. It can be emphasized more, but we need to talk about how then do we make sure that we assist each other to get exposed. Chilombo, your hand was up.
I think I was just trying to add on to what the previous speaker was saying. I think that should have been Ashley. So some of the solutions are to this unemployment that we all fear due to the fourth IR. So it could be businesses, individuals, and governments need to adapt the changing nature of work by focusing on training people for jobs of tomorrow. Talent development is very critical. So we need people to be trained or people to be inspired, help them discover their talents. I'm also going to talk about lifelong learning and career reintervention are going to be critical to the future of the workplace. So I think I'm just going to agree with what Ashley said. So people need to be trained with jobs of the future. Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got Ashley, Chilombo, Khodani from African Leaders, and Nyasha and Harrison, all from South Africa, Zambia, and also Nigeria. The question that I want to now pose, it relates to what you have been raising. We need to acquire more education, we need to acquire more qualifications, but we're still saying that people are not getting employed, and the artificial intelligence is also coming. For industrial revolution is here. There are rural areas. I believe one way or the other we might be linked to rural areas ourselves, and this is where most of the primary school kids do not get this exposure, which we are talking about. Yesterday on TV, I saw in Cape Town, they were, what did they call it? They were doing something called the South African Space Constellation Mission, which costed 27 million rands, where they were testing that, which I'm not sure if I understand what it means, but I'm asking myself, what is it that we are doing? If I can ask you, Awaz, may you please mute your mic? Maybe I can ask you, what is it that you are doing to make sure that the education in relation to STEM is taken to the kids in rural areas? Because one way or the other, I believe you are linked to that. In the urban areas, it's simple. They get iPad easy. Their parents can buy them this and that, which will actually expose them. My son is doing something called robotics and also programming, something that I never got exposed to. What about the kids in the rural areas? What is it that we can do as Africans to make sure that without having to work hard, these kids get the exposure that will lead to them being part of the STEM community or STEM community? Anybody, without mentioning the names? Yes, Ashley.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in terms of those rural learners and students, on my side, from 2017, I developed this other system called Student Monitor. This Student Monitor is going to expose every learner to textbooks, different types of textbooks, different types of tuition videos. Like you can store your term reports. You understand? The school can be able to interact also with parents through that system. There's a chatting app on that system, but I had that system to the point where I even like approached like South African service providers. I told them, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you try to like make this system for free, but you'll benefit on like advertisement on the system. It was so plain to the point where like now I needed to like go to the government and say I have this. You understand? This is going to help even the kids in the rural. Even if we can say they're in the rural, they can still afford that phone, that cell phone that has internet. That I'm sure of. They even raised that question. I was in Department of Education in Pretoria doing that. They even asked that question, or how will the kids have the access, because they only have phones, not computers and laptops. I said the system is developed to the point where it's going to like it was mainly developed to work on the phone. The computers and the system is just extras. You understand? So even today, I gave them the proposal and the presentation. Even today, I'm still waiting for them to like come back to me. Sometimes it's not about us. We are trying to do something to make sure that everyone fits in, but there's someone who's going to like limit you, which is our so-called government.
In our case, what we are trying to do is we've put up a camp system whereby we will visit rural areas as much as we can't go, like, let's say, for example, here in South Africa, we can't cover all the provinces. What we're trying to do is probably the first quarter of the year, we're able to visit one province, the other quarter we're able to visit another, then the other time we're able to visit another, and also going to other African countries. And actually just starting a follow-through program for whereby we meet a student whereby they're probably around 8th grade, and we just starting telling them about what aviation is about, what subjects are to prepare for, how can you be an honorable leader, how do you prepare your CV, you know, just general etiquette, just general things about life, having the right mindset, being positive about life. And then it's a follow-through program whereby the following year we'll go again and see and just lay another foundation on top and see. We're going to see how this progresses over, for example, 4 years, and see like when the learner completes school and maybe they become an entrepreneur, they join this ecosystem that we're talking about, because we've exposed them over the 4 years to it. So our hope is that this program will be adapted by other countries, and also they'll take it to their rural areas, because most of these things work when you've got different types of partnerships, other STEM personnel, like for example, everyone on this platform. Imagine if we were to partner and everyone is to go to their rural area and have something like this going on. I'm sure we'll be helping the people who are in the rural areas. Because for example, when we run mentorship programs, we run them on MS Teams. It's like Tembi was saying, that it's for maybe those who can afford, because it's a lot of data. A mentorship program for 2 hours, just using internet and all. The people in the rural areas, maybe they don't have cell phones, they don't have data. So I feel like we ourselves, if we have hindered this calling, we need to go there, equip the people, prepare them, tell them this is what's coming, have other people who look just like them, who are in those positions, you know, like drilling it through them that they need to join this train. Thank you.
Wow. Yes, they need to join this train. I think government on its own, like you said initially, it cannot be in a position to do everything. It will need assistance. I was looking at the way people are joining. Some will join like for 30 minutes and they go away. I'm sure they are going back to buy data, and then they come back. Some indicated on some of the messages that they are now they ran out of data, which is one of the challenges. I think it also poses the fact that government still need, as much as we say we don't want to depend on them, governments still need to make sure that there is Wi-Fi in almost every area of each country. It doesn't necessarily have to be South Africa only. It has to be in every country, which I believe that's what makes developed countries flourish, because they access this information as easy as that, as compared to us in Africa, who would now have to buy. And you calculate whether you take the money to buy bread or you buy data and do mentorship. It's a catch-22 situation. So it's something that I think collectively we can be able to do. Ashley, is okay. Harrison, you can proceed.
Okay, I would like to add to what the former speaker talked about, because I feel a solution to this is for us to come together and maybe start from the rural areas. You get my point? It might be like those people in the rural areas, especially, they need help. They should be focused on, because they are younger people. There are lots of young people in the rural areas. With that, if we can partner together and we have a common goal that we want to achieve, I believe everything will be okay. Thank you.
Yes, I think Ms. Manyika talked about what I wanted to add on. So this race for STEM education is not for an individual. We need to come together, one rural village at a time. Outreach campaigns will be necessary for us to reach the stage in STEM education that we want and inspire the next generation of STEM leaders.
One of the things that we have spoken about, which I feel we need to still emphasize, is the fact that we need to, was it African leaders? Yes, who spoke about the fact that out of the 500 million, I think it's there's a specific percentage that you spoke about, which is aware of what this STEM is all about. Which, and my guess would be these are mostly rural areas people, and there has been an issue of career choices, which even after you have taken them through the STEM, when they get to university, because of the big or the vast choice in terms of what to study, becomes again a challenge. And then we also spoke about issues of upgrading our qualifications in order to be on par with the 4IR requirements. So my question will be, why is it that as Africans, even though we have gone through all these things and we are having all these programs, we're still not able to, to create, somebody said we are not even able to create a microscope. We still have to take things to overseas for us to get them fixed. There was a joke that was going around that in South Africa, there's a machine that, or the licensing machine for the taxi industry that has been taken to Germany for it to be fixed. Is STEM really just for us to be, ready when this 4IR gets implemented, or is now, as we speak, adding value? I think Dawood also spoke about the fact that there are a lot of people with master's qualifications and doctorates and so forth, but they are not even questioning some of the things that are currently being done. And then the question will be, how is that going to encourage the kids in the rural areas to also form part of the family of STEM or STEAM, when this is the messaging, being sent out in a manner that will encourage the willingness to participate or to be part of the STEM or STEAM family? I know it's quite long, but I'm hoping that in the process you catch up some of the questions that I have raised. You responded to the fact that yes, we don't speak to each other as much as we should. Yes, the information is not going out as much as it's supposed to be, but we need to still go to the 65% or even more of those people who are not even aware of what STEM or STEAM is. We still have to upgrade our qualifications, but facts are stating us on the, are staring us on the face to say that yes, these things need to be done, and it is really a gap that needs to be addressed. But when I am a student in a high school now and I need to go to varsity, I'm faced with having to choose subjects or courses that are going to be relevant or make me become the employee that we are encouraging not to run away from, because the education has not yet been changed as we speak. We just have to be realistic at the same time. I see people who have got masters in areas of science, technology, engineering, or maybe not aviation, but yes, aviation too, because there's been a lot of people who lost their jobs recently because of the economic factors. How do we then encourage them to still consider STEM as a relevant area for us, for them to pursue?
I'm just gonna answer part of your question. There is a contradiction between the government and what they fund. They have all these funding programs towards science, towards STEM fields. They give bursaries, or even take you, I see South African Civil Aviation took some of their students even to France to get their qualification. However, government will still, with all these, and also in the medical field, we have doctors in South Africa sitting at home, not working. And some of them, it's because the government is also not willing, the municipalities don't want to pay them, but they will get doctors from Cuba to come and practice and address South African issues. And that way, South Africans don't get to learn how to treat their own people. So it's the contradiction between what government says they're doing and they provide, and they enable us, but then with those qualifications and the equipment, the resources they've given us, we just sit and waste away. So back to the statement that I said before, I think I should just give an example of how as Africans we can work together and really do without government. Of course, this would take a long time, but it needs people like us who are willing to take the stance. So it's, for instance, if there's no funding, we're struggling, can we not engage and talk about, say someone from Kenya right now, they're leading with the technology hub, innovation hub, reach out to them, ask them how are they addressing. I see they're now using drones to deliver medication to the rural areas. Can we ask, can someone from an NPO, someone sitting somewhere in a rural area wanting to fix that problem in their area, ask a Kenyan, how are you guys doing that? We share notes, and we, as a community, we deal with those issues. Can Zambia not fund a Nigerian organization, and then we share notes and share funds, and the government will now be forced to catch up with us and have to jump into our wagon and work with us, because now the African government is still going to get, is still going to source out most of the resources, most of the professionals from overseas due to the agreements they have.
Africa Free Trade Agreement that is existing. And I'm sure that was actually aimed at making sure that the things that you're talking about become practical, which unfortunately is not necessarily being implemented. Maybe other countries like Rwanda, I've seen they are implementing that. There's an organization that is even doing that. I know in Zambia, there's an organization that is also doing that because there are some South Africans who are involved, but I'm not sure to what extent is South Africa doing that? No, Nigeria and others probably there are, which would need us collectively to research on those kind of issues. There is somebody called Ade. Would you like to say something? I mean, it will be an injustice to have you and not let you say anything. But in the process of him or her thinking about that, I'm actually also worried about the contradiction by government. I'm not sure whether it's something that is being experienced by other countries like Zambia or Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to give us sort of a picture of how things are in your country?
I think we're probably the same and we still stand on the same ground. There's a contradiction between theory and practical work. So since we have a new government and we've seen the introduction of a new ministry called the Ministry of Science and Technology. So they are yet to deliver, and hopefully with the new ministry, we're going to see changes, because it's very sad to see that we have so many innovative minds, but you see this is a Zambian who has created maybe a body spray that can help asthmatic people, but then it's not going to get enough funding. It's not going to get enough support. So you see other organizations from other countries coming in and taking that person out, and they go there and develop with whatever other ideas they have. So I think there's still a contradiction between them saying STEM is going to be practical. So I think it comes in from organizations, people like us, to advocate for STEM education, not just to be theoretical, but practical.
Do you think, not necessarily you as an individual, do you think that the reason why we would, for instance, in South Africa, have doctors who have been trained, but at the same time we go out and get Cubans doctors? Is it because we don't trust ourselves as Africans? We think the only solution will come from another country for it to become something that will be acceptable and something that will be considered as innovative enough to be implemented within our country? Is that the reason for us not really considering? Because you keep on saying, I think collectively, that we have got innovative minds in Africa. We've got innovative minds in Africa, but we go and buy weapons outside. But we've got people probably who are trained and even are lecturers on those specific fields. We go and buy medication or medicine outside of Africa, but we have people who are actually trained on those areas. Is it because we feel inferior, or we don't trust ourselves, or is it because? Yes, you can go ahead. Yes, I can hear you.
I'm kindly asking if you can repeat the question. I didn't get you were breaking.
I was saying, is it because we are inferior that in everything and every challenge that we experience, the first place to run to will be overseas? I gave an example that Khodani gave of South Africa having to go out and get Cuban doctors when there are doctors who are qualified but are sitting at home and not working.
I think yes, it's because we think it also has to come back to mindset, as we have talked about. So I think we do think we're inferior. We have an inferiority complex. This comes down back to the colonial days. We think the Western world is better than us. And just like I mentioned earlier on how the system has been built, I'll diverge slightly, then come back. So during the industrial era, so education wasn't necessarily created for us to be employers. So education was created for us to be employees in the industrial works. So people were sent to school so that they can obey and do the works that the higher masters were requiring them to do. So that comes down to what we're experiencing now in today's world. So we still have that inferiority complex of saying the Western world is better than us. We don't have the equipment. And because we have that mentality, it stops us or hinders us from being developed, because we think we can't aspire to the level in which Japan is at. We can't aspire to the level of the United States. And it's also sad to note, I had a colleague of mine asking, if I have, for instance, this is a colleague of mine that asked, if I have an innovative idea, or say I have an idea that will help build or restore machinery, can I come out and go to the government and say, okay, there's this equipment, or I want to manufacture so and so goods? Will that be possible? Will I receive funds, or can I make money to invest in that business? And the answer to that individual was no. So they said, we have to obey the existing, for a lack of better words, the existing rulers. So we already have people who have been trained, say people PhD owners. So we have to obey until that person with the PhD, that person who's probably 60 years agrees that no, we can bring in these innovative ideas, then that won't happen, which is very sad.
It is. It is actually sad because it is actually blocking the youth from giving input. I think it's what also Ashley said, that he created the student monitoring, but the very same tool was not necessarily accepted. Or if it was, be used. So the question again would be, not necessarily to you, Chilombo, but to everybody, would be, people will be innovative and the things don't get used. Then we have to come together. We don't have funding. Government does not probably have the funds to, or not consider funding us. How then do we go about making sure that that is whatever we want to do, the collective approach that we want to implement is actually effective? I'll take Ashley and then Khodani.
Thank you very much. In terms of like what we were saying here now, why is South African government bringing in doctors from Cuba? Even if we have qualified doctors here in South Africa, it's still going back to trust. We don't trust each other. We still believe that that person, I don't know, I'm not racist, but it's like this, that person who is white can do a better job than the person who is black. We still have that mentality, even if we tell ourselves that we are even with white people. You understand? So it comes with trust. Even the machine part of like licensing machine that went to Germany, there are people here in South Africa who were even commenting saying that system, they know it, they can fix it, but still we believe that the German people, just because they're machinery people, that the people who can like fix this, we pay them like millions, while we can like give our brother here in South Africa like 200,000 to fix that machine for us, and then it start working. And also it comes in, it's also corruption. It's corruption. They know, okay, even if it's someone who is here, okay, we're gonna like, he's gonna look for, like, he's gonna like want this small monies, which we won't, which will even give, but we won't benefit by. But by us taking the machine, that side of like Germany, they're gonna charge us $5 million. Then we tell our own government that they charge that they charge $15 million. It's corruption. They want to like benefit from the small things that they know that it can be fixed here in South Africa.
I think it's also covered the things that Khodani spoke about of I'm trying to remember the exact words that she spoke about, but it's more about the fact that those who are educated, okay, she said it like this, those who are in the aviation space, because they are Black, they ended up, I think it was herself and Nyasha, they ended up having to do more years because of the color, which is something that we still struggle with. Harrison, I'll come back to you after Khodani. Khodani, you can go ahead.
It's a very sad and frustrating matter, Thembi, and just to add on to what Ashley said, I don't think Africans, we have an inferior complex. We just have leaders who enable those who have been the colonizers and oppressors So we're in an age where having your natural hair is now the in thing. Wearing our African print, it's beautiful and we love it, and we're more African conscious now, and we love going, we love the diversity in our continent. So I don't think it's a problem with us, the people. It's the leaders that enable a situation like this. And yeah, I think that's where we're stuck now. Where do we go from now when we have leadership that is not helping us? Like, look at a situation like DRC, the mining situation. There's so much, the powerful countries or economic leaders or whatever, they've put so much red tape in Africa. COVID, we had brilliant professionals and experts who could have helped combat and reduce the infection rate in African countries. But the red tape, we now depend on a world organization, the WHO. They tell you which one they want, which they do not want. They silence who they want to hear. They do not silence who. It's very controversial, and some may say it's what's the word for it? Like you very suspicious. But unfortunately, Africa still has a lot of red tape in every industry, your mining industries, your STEM industries. It's just a lot of red tape. That's what we need to deal with. And back to what I was saying, the power is with the people. No government, no power can stand against the people that holds hand and move forward.
That is so true.
Yeah, so basically what I have to say, and from what other speakers have said, is that if any one of us is to be in any position to produce or manufacture anything, it should make sure we give the best, because we are creating a brand. And you see most Africans, let me even use Nigerians, for example, they're always like, no, I don't want to patronize a Nigerian because they will do something that is not original. They come up with fake things, you get my point? So it's meant for us to change the narrative about all these things. When we come to a particular space, let's make sure we keep the best we can, even though it's expensive. Those that will...
Oh, Ashley, your hand was up, Ashley.
Yes, yeah, my hand was up. I wanted to like add on what African leaders in aviation was saying now about like if we come together as Africans, we can like no one can stop us. Yeah, no one can stop us either way, but we are still like limited in such a way that the government must open that for us. You understand? We still have like borders as Africans, which is like it's not something like us as Africans we had before. It's just the people with the colonizers who just came and did that. They don't want us also to like be together. You understand? That's why they're like equipping people in DRC with like machine guns. The people in just our nearby country, Mozambique, they are calling them the Islamic states. What? They're fighting each other. You understand? So for us to like come together and like trying to like make a difference is going to be much more harder, to the point where like the government must first act on us so that they can open doors for us. If the government can open doors for us, we can be able to like go all in. You understand? For example, if they can, you can be able to go to Rwanda without having a visa as an African. Like you can be able to travel all Africa without a visa. That can be like mind opening and like make life easier for us. You can be able to like talk to people in person, like you can be able to go to Zim and ask what's the problem, what do you need from something like myself from STEM in terms of technology. I can be able to go to Zim easily and then have a free trade to like, what do you need, what can I help with, you understand? So like the European countries that are there trying to like block that, you understand? That's their like main mission. Africa mustn't be one, because we'll be independent and we'll be stronger than them.
Okay. In closing, I would like you to give a closing remarks and also indicate in terms of your profession, what are the qualifications that those who would want to study the same thing that you have studied, do they require? I know it will differ from one country to another, but it will also be good because this is going to be watched by so many people. And I believe that it's going to make a difference. It's going to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and also Twitter. So people are going to be watching, and I believe it will be something that can help someone. But over and above that, I think beyond just us talking here, it would be good just to have sort of an indication of how you would want to work together and collaborate on different areas that you are working on from different countries, because I think it is doable. We can start small, even if the government has not yet come in, because I believe underground work usually make a difference more than something that has been legislated. And there's an Africa Free Trade Agreement that I spoke about. I think it's something that we can, in a small way, indicate that we can work together. From the Are We Transforming, we actually had made, I think, 2 or 3 companies now to work together, and they're not even residing in the same country. One in South Africa and another one is, okay, without mentioning them, but most of them are in the SADC region. They are currently have already agreed and put their signature on paper, and they are working together. So it is doable, and that is actually why Are We Transforming exists, to put people together, or solution makers, or people who bring solutions to work together and share ideas, to be able to address those those gaps that have been identified. So I'll ask you in closing just to indicate what is it that is required, and even give your closing remarks in the process. I will start with you, Ashley. Required to have, more especially from Matric.
Okay, in terms of like IT or fourth industrial revolution these days, is something that you can do on your own, or you can like go and study for. In terms of like a matric learner who wants to go and study IT, in terms of software development, you're gonna need your science and your mathematics, and then the developing can be like you're gonna start with basic developing in your tertiary level, and then going there. But even if you don't have that access and that money to go to university or a college, you can like use your YouTube to like learn how to like develop your website. It's easy. The systems and the tools are very free. You can just like learn on your own on YouTube and then become a developer.
For a high school learner, so the qualifications that you need, definitely your math and your science, because engineering revolves around math. It's a lot of math and science. So I'm a student of geomatic engineering. Yeah, so you need your math and your science. Yes.
What is geomatic engineering? Chilombo? Oh, this network. Chilombo, can you hear me still? Looks like she's not hearing me. Okay, Khodani?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? It's cutting.
Yes, now
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. I can hear you. I was asking what is geometric engineering, and also your closing remarks. Wow, it's fine. Khodani, if you can hear me, you can proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry for the noise in the background. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, geomatic engineering is the management of infrastructure to the collection of, measuring and monitoring and archiving of geospatial data. So before a building can be built, there's a civil engineer, then there's a geomatic engineer. So you hire a civil engineer, then a geomatic engineer will come and survey the land. So it's more or less surveying of the land, put boundaries on the land. Yes.
Okay. Any closing remarks from your side?
I think I would say the fight for STEM education starts with us. We shouldn't wait for the government to implement anything. So it should start with us. We should inspire one child at a time. And we need to come together as individuals, as Africans. We should remove all the borders because we all have one goal in common, and to see our countries develop or go to higher heights. So it starts with us. It starts with you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. That is so true. Khodani?
Thank you. I will jump right into the closing remark because Nyasha and I do a similar thing so that we don't repeat. She doesn't have to repeat what I'm saying. I'm grateful, Tembi, for this platform, really. And we really need, the more we talk about this, the more we share ideas, the more we get ideas of how to come together and solve the African problems. I just want to encourage, if you allow me, just encourage anyone, if you know anyone, any young students who really are interested and need mentorship. We have mentorship programs. We even have young students who mentor the younger kids so that they can reach them at their level. This is the information on the screen. We're ready and willing to work with any of you in the panel who wants to engage, and we discuss further how we can make a better Africa for the coming generations and maybe for us. Thank you so much, Tim. Blessings.
That is so true. That is so true. I, for one, will definitely work with you one way or the other because I want to have an expo in rural areas where we'll be able to take through different schools and students to make sure that they get aware of this STEM STEAM. Okay, Harrison.
Oh, Tembi, thank you very much for this great opportunity for bringing us together, because truly I would say this is the best gathering. This is a very good gathering where you have great people with great minds come together and actually discuss about things that can change the country, that can change Africa. And with this, I believe we start taking steps towards all these things. We have to start making effects. And like you said, Tembi, you mentioned something about we coming together, even maybe working underground. Because me, when I come to a space, everybody in that space, I tend to at least maybe get to know them so that we can work together. Because I so much believe in partnership. This shouldn't end here. There are a lot of things ahead of us. When we come together and do things together, it will become easy. So I will quickly talk about architecture. Basically, when you're doing architecture, it's still your maths, mathematics, and English. You understand your maths and the basic knowledge and some understandings in sciences, especially technical drawing. I don't know what you call it in other countries. Some people call it intro tech. So technical drawing, yeah, we have to have basic knowledge about that in school. And like I said about architecture photography, architecture is wide. We have landscape, we have interior design. So if you are coming into architecture, there are a lot of things you can do. So if you are an architect, you shouldn't be idle. Like architecture is wide. You can feel free to do what you want to do. Like I said, I discovered architecture photography for myself because I loved it. I love taking pictures. I applied that same knowledge of photography into architecture. So with that, it's me doing architecture with photography, and it's beautiful. So you can come to architecture, the same space, and find what you want to do, and you won't regret it. Thank you very much. And for this program, Tembi, well done. I would like to see more of this. Thank you very much. It's great being in this place. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Nyasha, you are the last one.
Thank you so much for having us and for this lovely topic that we got to discuss, and I learned a lot. Okay, so if one wants to become a pilot in general, being a pilot, there are different types of avenues. You can be an airline pilot, you can be a charter pilot, which is like a business pilot, flying business people. You can, even here in Africa, there's actually business aviation. There are people who need to be flown from one mine to another, oil rig. You can be a pilot who flies those people. You can also be a bush pilot. You can fly tourists. There's some people who save up money so that they can go on this one big holiday. There's so many nice places, resorts in Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, the Victoria Falls. So you can be a bush pilot, flying tourists as well. You can become a flight instructor. If you love teaching people, you can teach people how to fly. You can also be, you can actually be a tow pilot, towing those banners, for example, in Cape Town by the ocean, advertising things. You can be that pilot. You can be an agricultural pilot, spraying crops. Now with drones, people are also spraying plants with drones. So there's so many different angles. You just don't, you have to be an airline pilot, which is what most people know. So for you to become a pilot, you need to be above the age of 16. You can just go to your closest airport, look for a flight school and find out if you can join. Just to join, it's your money if you're going to go the private route. It's a very expensive course, but there's so many organizations that provide scholarships. So it's about researching about these scholarships. You first start with what's known as a private pilot license. With the private pilot license, you need to train, need to do the theory, and you take a flight test. Within about 45 to 60 hours, you have your private pilot license. You go through subjects such as meteorology. You need to know how to decode the weather, flight planning. You need to be able to prepare for your flight, calculate your fuel. You need to be able, there's radio. You need to be able to talk on the radio. Instruments, you need to be able to decode the instruments. So there are subjects which are similar like that. That's where you see that aviation is science, all those things are all there. There's principles of flight. You learn about the Newton's theory, you go back to physics and all. It's actually very, very fun. So with the private pilot license, which is the first license, you're able to fly family and friends for free. You can't get paid. If you now want to start getting paid, you need to get what's known as a commercial pilot license. So you top up your flying experience to about 200 flight hours, and you also write more subjects. The same subjects that you wrote at private pilot, you write them at commercial level now, a little more advanced as well. You get your commercial pilot license, then you can start looking for those other jobs that I was talking about. If you can't afford, or if you can't find scholarships, you may decide to actually go through the Air Force. Through the Air Force, they normally require maths, physics, sometimes a little bit of geography, but it's normally maths and physics sciences which are required for you to join the Air Force. The good thing about joining the Air Force is you don't pay for the training itself, it's paid for. Then you get your military licenses. And if you decide to go the civilian route later to become an airline pilot, that's also an option. You can later on maybe resign from the Air Force and join the civilian route. You can do this at any age. You can even do it as a second career. If you want to fly for the airlines, the cutoff age is 65. So even if you join at 40, you can enjoy about 25 more years. But yeah, it's an amazing industry. As Khodi said, African Leaders in Aviation is there to be your resource, your information provider. Even if you're looking for these scholarships, we're there to help you. If you need help writing the essays, we're there to help you. And thank you so much for putting this together. I hope we'll remove all the barriers, and us as well, everyone who was on this panel, let's task ourselves. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's get involved in each other's events. Let's uplift each other. If you see someone posting something, let's reshare. Let's get the information out there and be the change. You know, we can't just talk about all these solutions. We should be the solution. Thank you so much, Thembi.
Thank you so very much to every one of you. I think you took a chance and be with somebody that you don't even know, but you decided no, because we love to be advocates of STEM or STEAM, we're going to make sure that we become part of it. I will definitely, if you allow, share the contacts of each and every one of you amongst yourselves so that you can be able to keep in touch. I'll also be able to find a way of, sharing information. And if I hear somebody who wants your services, I'll also be able to share that. And it's not something that I would want anything in return. It's actually for us to work together and build the Africa that we all want to see. This is Are We Transforming? And I'm Thembekile Felicia Makubele. Thank you so very much. May God bless you and give you all the desires of your heart throughout the 2022. Stay safe, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also follow and like our LinkedIn and Facebook page. See you next time.